The galaxy remembered many wars, but none began the way this one did. On a quiet day near the outer rings, the Council patrol ships moved through the dark space lanes with slow confidence. Their silver hulls glowed softly under the light of a distant blue star. To them, this route was safe. Nothing dangerous ever appeared here. Captain Rollin stood on the bridge of the patrol cruiser Vathros. He had served the Council for 30 years, and in that time, he had seen pirate attacks, border disputes, and one small rebellion. But today felt different. He felt a strange tension in the air, something like the calm before a storm. "Any movement on scanners?" he asked. "Nothing, Captain," the operator replied. "All sectors clear." "As usual." Rollin nodded. The Council ruled hundreds of worlds. They held power with strict laws and overwhelming fleets. Most species feared them. Most obeyed. That was why this area was so silent. But silence can hide danger. At 14:07 local ship time, the scanners flashed. The alarms did not scream. The warnings did not trigger. Instead, a single red dot appeared in the center of the holographic display. "Unidentified object entering system," the operator said slowly. "One ship?" Rollin asked. "Yes, but the reading is strange. It's small. Too small for a war vessel." Rollin narrowed his eyes. "Put it on the main screen." The black space ahead of them shimmered. A dark shape emerged from nothing, as if it had pushed aside the shadows of space. It was a human ship. A very small one. Only 1/5 the size of a Council cruiser. No glowing shield field. No visible energy weapon ports. No markings of power. The bridge officers smirked. "A primitive design," someone muttered. "Humans built this? Looks like a cargo hauler. We can destroy it with one shot." Rollin raised a hand. "Stay cautious. Humans are unpredictable. They don't follow Council patterns." Still, he did not feel threatened. Not yet. The human ship drifted silently, like a hunter waiting for prey to move closer. There were no messages from it. No lights. No transmissions. Only stillness. Commander Tathos stepped forward. "Captain, should we demand identification?" "Do it." The Council cruiser sent a standard command. "Identify or be fired upon." No reply. 5 seconds passed. 10 seconds. 15. Then the human ship powered up a weapon. But it wasn't an energy cannon. It wasn't plasma. It wasn't even modern by Council standards. "What is that?" the weapons officer asked. I don't know," the operator whispered. "It has no energy signature." The weapon glowed softly. A long metal barrel extended forward, magnetic rings humming faintly. Rollin leaned forward. "It can't be. That's a railgun. A physical weapon. That technology is ancient." "Captain," the operator said with a shaking voice, "that weapon is charging faster than anything I've ever seen." Before anyone could speak, the human ship fired. The shot left the barrel at incredible speed. There was no flash. No explosion. Just a thin streak of metal moving at a speed the scanners could barely track. It hit the Council cruiser Targon, positioned 2 kilometers away. The cruiser didn't explode. It simply folded. A perfect, clean hole ripped straight through its core. The ship split into 2 glowing halves, drifting apart like a broken toy. No one on the bridge of the Vathros breathed. "Impossible," Commander Tathos whispered. Rollin finally understood. This was not a primitive weapon. This was physics pushed to its limit. The human ship fired again. The second shot pierced a battleship's armor like soft cloth. Fire burst across its hull as compartments depressurized. Alarms filled every Council channel. "Evade!" Rollin shouted. "All ships, evasive maneuvers." But it was useless. The human railgun fired a 3rd time. Then a 4th. Then a 5th. With each shot, another Council vessel died. With each shot, the sky filled with burning metal and drifting debris. The human ship did not move. It did not repeat warnings. It did not speak. It simply destroyed everything in its path. On the bridge, panic finally took over. Council officers shouted, ran, and scrambled to follow orders. But no matter how much they tried, their shields were worthless. Their armor meant nothing. The railgun tore through it all. Roland clenched the edge of his console, trying to stay calm. What is their goal? Why one ship? Why this weapon? No one answered. A new alert flashed. Another human ship had appeared. Then another. Then 5 more. They were teleporting in without warp signatures, without entrance trails. They just appeared. "Captain," the operator whispered, "they're not using any jump technology we know." Roland stared at the growing fleet. Railguns glowing. Teleport signatures unknown. No communication. No hesitation. He realized the truth too late. "This isn't an attack," he said quietly. "This is the start of something bigger." The human ships turned their barrels all at once. Toward the heart of the system. Toward the Council flagship. Toward the symbol of dominion that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. And as the first shot charged, the bridge lights flickered. The ground trembled. Fear filled every officer's eyes. The sky was about to break again. And the war had only begun. Captain Roland paced the bridge of the Vathros, his heart still pounding after the first devastating attack. He stared at the view screen, watching the burning wreckage of Council ships drifting in space. The human destroyers floated quietly now, like predators watching their prey. In the Council Central Command back on their capital world, the news reached the Grand Council chamber within minutes. Princes, generals, and diplomats clustered around glowing holographic projectors. Their faces were pale, their voices tight. They had never seen such destruction so fast, with such little warning. High Chancellor Maris spoke first. Her voice echoed through the chamber. "What weapon did they use?" she asked, her fingers tracing the image of a shattered battleship. "We have lost 5 war cruisers in moments. And this is only the beginning." An admiral, General Kvar, replied, "It was a railgun, an old-style kinetic cannon. Their ship fired physical projectiles, not energy beams. Their railguns hit like meteors." His voice shook with disbelief. Outside the chamber, commanders in the war room barked orders. The Master of Fleets, Lord Estelle, pointed to a star map. "We must mobilize every fleet we have. Call all reserve squadrons. Prepare the dreadnoughts. We cannot let them teleport in more ships." One young counselor protested. "Teleport? We don't even understand their jump method. Our long-range sensors show no warp trails. How do we defend if they appear out of nowhere?" Maris shut him down sharply. "We will adapt. We'll use every defense platform, every orbital cannon, every intercept squad. This is not a raid. This is war." Back on the Vathros, Roland heard urgent messages crackling over the comm channels. Other patrol ships reported similar anomalies. Unexplained teleport signals, sudden disappearances of Council fighters, and more small human vessels appearing in seemingly random sectors. Roland glanced at his weapons officer, Mira. Her face was tight, her eyes wide. "Captain, I'm reading more human ships jumping in," she said. "At least 10 now, across 3 different vectors." He swallowed. "Can we target them?" he asked. "They're too spread out," she answered. "And they don't seem to be charging weapons. They are just waiting." Roland frowned. "Why would they wait?" Mira shook her head. "It's not normal battle behavior." Suddenly, the communications officer called out, "Incoming transmission." Roland straightened. "Put it through." On the screen appeared a human officer, his face calm but firm. He spoke with a clear voice. "Council of Worlds, this is the human command. You will stop your fleets. You will stop your squadrons. Or more of your ships will die. We do not negotiate. We demand you end your domination." Roland's jaw clenched. "They are declaring war." He looked around the bridge. A show of force, but also an ultimatum. Down in Council Central, Maris cut off the transmission. She narrowed her eyes. "So they speak. Do they truly believe we will bow?" A general whispered. "They are too bold, too well coordinated." Maris turned slowly. "They have something we don't understand. And that worries me more than their fleet." The war room exploded with activity. Orders flew out in every direction. Long-range battlecruisers were ordered to form blockade lines. Escort corvettes were dispatched to patrol trade routes. Defense stations were put on alert. Every council world was told to raise shields, to ready their armies, and to prepare for a long war. But fear crept in. Council citizens across the core worlds awakened to the news. Some markets shut down. Trade slowed. Noble houses sent their private fleets into standby. Whispers ran through the halls of power. Is this the end of the council's rule? Can humans really break us? In the outer rings, merchant captains refused to travel. Their ships carried refugees fleeing darker, more dangerous systems. Some hid in asteroid fields. Others made desperate jumps behind enemy lines, hoping the humans would not target non-military craft. On the Vathros bridge, Roland closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered that first railgun shot. How clean it was, how final. He remembered how the cruiser Targon simply folded, as if struck by an unmeltable hammer. He realized the council could no longer rely on its legendary power. A soft alarm broke his focus. New jump signature, close to our position. He barked, "Shields up! All weapons ready!" Outside the viewport, another human ship shimmered into existence. It came silently, no warp trail, no burst of energy. Just a dark ship and a cold presence. Roland's voice was steady, but his heart felt like a stone. "Prepare to engage. But do not fire first." Mira nodded. Her finger hovered above the railgun detection system. "Captain, do you think they will attack?" He didn't answer. Instead, he watched the dark ship float, waiting for orders. Over in the council war room, Mira sat quietly at her command seat, watching real-time maps. Every indicator was red. Panic spread like wildfire. She tapped a data pad. "Send envoys," she said, "but also strengthen every fleet. If they want peace, fine. But we must be ready if they break it." Across the galaxy, on remote worlds and proud capital planets, people braced themselves. The Council's dominion had ruled for centuries. Now, a single human destroyer, and its railguns, had shattered that calm. The teleporters made everything worse, turning predictable strategy into chaos. And in the hearts of Council leaders, a terrible thought grew. They had underestimated humans. Huge mistake. They had no clue how fast this war would spread. They had no idea how deep the threat ran. Because this was not just a raid. This was the first strike of a war that might change everything. The Council believed they understood the danger. They believed the humans would stay with long-range railgun attacks. They believed there was time to prepare. They were wrong. Far across the galaxy, deep inside the Council's most secure zone, floated their greatest pride, the dreadnought Solaris Crown. It was a moving fortress, the size of a small moon, protected by 20 shield layers and thousands of soldiers. No enemy had ever reached its command deck. Not pirates, not rebels, not rival empires. The Council trusted this dreadnought more than anything, which is why what happened next shocked them to their core. Inside the command deck of the Solaris Crown, Admiral Varric stood before a giant holographic map showing the human attacks across the outer rings. His advisors spoke quickly, voices full of fear. "They appear without warp trails," one said. "They destroy ships before we can charge shields," another added. "Their railguns bypass all energy defenses," a third whispered. Admiral Varric raised his hand to silence them. "We will not panic. This is one species. One. The Council has survived far worse." He truly believed it. But as he prepared to give his next order, a soft humming sound filled the room. It was faint. Too faint for anyone to notice at first. Then, a wave of shimmering light appeared in the center of the bridge. The soldiers froze. The officers stared in shock. Shapes began forming inside the light. Humanoid silhouettes. Admiral Varric shouted, "Security! Charge weapons!" But it was too late. In less than a second, the light snapped into place. 6 humans stood on the bridge. They wore black combat suits with silver lines glowing across their arms and legs. Their helmets were smooth, without any visor, but somehow they saw everything. They carried no rifles, no blades, no visible weapons at all. Yet their presence filled the room with fear. The teleport strike team had arrived. One human stepped forward. "Oh, steady." His voice was quiet but firm. "The Council's dominion ends today." The entire bridge went silent. Shock held every officer frozen. Teleportation into a secured dreadnought should have been impossible. It required bypassing 10 shield fields, 6 energy barriers, and locked spatial coordinates. Yet the humans had walked in as if they owned the place. Security finally reacted. Dozens of soldiers raised their rifles and opened fire. Light and plasma bolts filled the air. But the humans did not move. A faint distortion field shimmered around them. Every shot bent away, curving like water hitting stone. Plasma bolts struck walls, consoles, and floors, but not one touched the strike team. Admiral Varric stared in horror. "What kind of technology is this?" The lead human spoke again. "We came to deliver a message. You cannot hold your power by fear anymore. You cannot silence worlds anymore. You cannot control the galaxy anymore." He stepped closer to Varric. "This war will be fast. You cannot stop what has already begun." Varric forced himself to stand tall. "You think 6 soldiers can break the Council?" The human tilted his head slightly. "We are not here to break you." He raised his hand. "We are here to show you that we already can." A pulse of blue light burst from his palm. Not an explosion, not a blast. Just a ripple that flowed across every console and system in the room. Instantly, the dreadnought's power grid shut down. Every screen went dark. Every shield dropped to 0. Every weapon went offline. The mighty Solaris crown drifted in space like a dead shell. The Council officers gasped. Some stepped back in fear. Others dropped their weapons. Nothing like this had ever happened to them. Not once in thousands of years. The human team turned as if to leave. Varric shouted, desperate, "Why attack us now? What do you want?" The lead human paused at the teleport marker. "We want justice. For every world you crushed. For every species you controlled. For every voice you silenced." His helmet turned slightly, almost like a warning. "This is our first move. Your fleets cannot handle the next ones." And in a flash of rippling light, the humans teleported away. All 6 vanished at once, leaving the bridge dark, silent, and powerless. A terrified officer ran to Varric. "Admiral, they shut down our entire flagship in seconds. What do we tell the Council?" Varric stared into the empty space where the humans had stood. "Tell them," he said softly, "that the humans are not trying to win the war." He swallowed hard. "They are trying to end it." And far out in the stars, dozens of human ships prepared their next teleport jumps, moving across Council space like silent shadows. This was only the beginning. The Council had no idea how much worse it would get. The Council did not wait long to respond. Humans had humiliated them, teleporting inside their strongest dreadnought, shutting down its power, and leaving without a scratch. The news spread across every Council world like a storm. People whispered in fear. Commanders argued. Leaders panicked. So the Council did the one thing they believed would restore control. They prepared the biggest fleet in 200 years. In less than 12 hours, the Grand Armada formed above the capital world. 40,000 ships. Heavy cruisers, dreadnoughts, carriers, beam destroyers, missile barges, even ancient war relics pulled from museums. It was a floating city of metal and fire. General Kvar watched the fleet gather from the command bridge of the flagship Iron Spear. His voice shook with forced confidence as he spoke to his officers. "This time," he said, "we attack them first. We hit the humans with everything we have. No mercy. No hesitation." But deep down, he remembered the railgun footage. He remembered how ships were torn in half. He remembered how teleporters bypassed all defenses. Still, the Council could not retreat. Their pride was too big. Their fear too sharp. "Begin the jump," Kvar ordered. The entire Grand Armada vanished into hyperspace, moving toward the sector where humans were last detected. When they arrived, the region was silent. No human fleet. No stations. No bases. Only a single small star and empty space. The officers on the Iron Spear looked confused. "General, there's nothing here," one said. "Did they run away?" Another asked. Maybe this is a trap. Kvar clenched his jaw. Scan again. Humans do not run. But the scans showed nothing. Absolutely nothing. Until a sudden flash appeared on the edge of the system. A single human frigate dropped out of teleport, floating calmly in the darkness like it had been waiting. The Grand Armada panicked. Target the ship. All guns ready. Fire on sight. Thousands of cannons charged across the Council fleet. But the human frigate didn't move. It didn't aim. It didn't run. It simply sent a short transmission. You should not have come. Kvar's eyes widened. What does that mean? The answer arrived instantly. Space behind the human frigate began to crack, thin silver lines spreading like lightning across a dark sky. Then, one by one, human warships appeared through teleport jumps. Not from hyperspace. Not from any known corridor. They simply appeared. Dozens. Then hundreds. Then more. Silent. Precise. Perfect formation. Human ships spread out like a wall swallowing the stars. No, this is impossible, an officer whispered. How are they teleporting entire fleets? We can't even track their entry. But the true horror came a second later. The human ships teleported again, this time inside the Council formation. Directly behind cruisers. Under dreadnoughts. Above carriers. Every Council officer froze in their seats. Kvar screamed. Evasive maneuvers. Break formation. Too late. The humans opened fire. Railguns roared across the battlefield. Not slow, not single shot. Thousands of projectiles flying at near light speed. The Council's shield networks collapsed instantly. Armor shattered. Ships split open like thin metal shells. Explosions lit the star system like a burning sunrise. Council ship after ship died in moments. The iron spear shook violently as railgun rounds tore through its wings. Sparks shot from every console. Officers fell to the ground. Smoke filled the bridge. General, we can't hold. Our shields are gone. We're losing the left battle line. And still, the humans weren't done. More teleport signatures flared, human destroyers appearing in the middle of Council squadrons, firing point-blank railgun bursts into capital ships. Council vessels tried to escape, but human ships teleported in front of them, cutting off every path. This wasn't a battle. It was a slaughter. Kvar watched in horror as his fleet, 40,000 strong, was reduced to burning wreckage. The screams over the comms were unbearable. One by one, his commanders begged for retreat. But there was no retreat. Human ships surrounded all exits. Their teleporters blocked hyperspace jumps. Every escape corridor collapsed. In the center of the chaos, a message reached the Iron Spear. A human commander appeared on the screen. You brought your full force, he said calmly. We brought our full precision. The screen faded. Another teleport signature lit up, right inside the Iron Spear's shield bubble. A human battleship appeared above them, railguns glowing bright. General, an officer whispered, trembling. We've already lost. Kvar closed his eyes. He felt the full weight of the Council's arrogance, their pride, their blindness. We never understood them, he said quietly. And now we pay the price. A final railgun burst tore through the flagship's core. The Iron Spear exploded in a wave of fire. And with it, the Grand Armada died. Across the galaxy, news spread quickly. The largest Council fleet in history lasted less than 7 minutes. The Dominion had cracked. Its power was bleeding out. Fear spread like wildfire on every world. And humanity had not even used their strongest weapon yet. The defeat of the Grand Armada hit the Council like a hammer. 40,000 ships lost in minutes. Their strongest generals dead. Their proud fleet shattered. For the first time in centuries, the Council chambers were silent. Not a single voice rose. Not a single leader pretended to be brave. High Chancellor Maris stood at the center of the Great Hall, staring at the floating ruins recorded by the survivor drones. She had no words, no excuses, only fear. The humans, she whispered. They do not fight like us. They do not think like us. And they do not stop. All around her, Council nobles, ministers, and war elders trembled. A senator finally spoke. "We cannot survive another battle." Another added, "Our fleets are scattered. Our defenses weak. We will fall." Maris clenched her hands. "We still have one card left." Those words turned the room cold. No one wanted to mention it. No one wanted to use it. But the Council had one weapon hidden beneath their capital star. The Star Core Destabilizer. A machine so powerful, so dangerous, it had been banned even by ancient empires. A device designed to make a star collapse on itself, destroying every world in the system. Maris looked at her generals. "If we cannot win, we must threaten. The humans want to end our rule. They want us broken. But they do not want entire systems dead." General Theros swallowed hard. "If we activate the destabilizer, the humans will see we are ready to destroy our own star. That might force them to negotiate." Maris nodded. "Prepare the weapon. But do not activate it fully. Only prime it. We must show the humans we still have power." Deep below the capital world, inside a massive underground fortress of steel and glowing energy conduits, the Star Core Destabilizer awakened. Engineers trembled as the ancient machine powered on, rings of black metal turning slowly, humming with a low, dangerous tone. Lights flickered. The ground shook. The chief engineer whispered, "If this weapon fires, billions will die." General Theros replied, "If we don't use it, billions will die anyway." The Council had made their choice. Meanwhile, far across space, on the bridge of a human command ship, Commander Hale studied new reports. His officers stood quiet. The room felt tense. Everyone sensed something dangerous approaching. A technician stepped forward. "Sir, we detected an abnormal energy surge from the Council capital." Hale frowned. "Type of energy?" The technician hesitated. "Unknown. But the signature is large. Very large. Almost star level." That grabbed everyone's attention. Hale leaned forward. "Show me." A hologram lit up, revealing the capital system, and at its center, the star pulsated with a strange glow. A warning flashed across the screen. "Unstable core detected." The officers exchanged worried looks. "What are they doing? Something is wrong with the star. That energy level is unnatural." Hale understood immediately. Only one weapon could disturb a star from this distance. "The destabilizer," he said quietly. "They're going to threaten the entire system." His second-in-command shook her head. "If they activate it, the star will implode. Every planet will die. Even their own worlds." Hale replied, "They're desperate, and desperate enemies are dangerous." He stood tall. "Prepare teleport units. We're going in." The Council had just finished priming the weapon when alarms blared across the underground base. A guard shouted, "Intrusion detected. Unknown signals inside the station." General Theros turned pale. "Impossible! No one can teleport through these walls." But the walls shimmered. Blue light rippled across the chamber. And in the next heartbeat, human strike teams appeared in every corridor. Inside the reactor ring. Inside the control center. Inside the weapon chamber. The teleporters had bypassed every defense. Every shield. Every barrier. The Council soldiers panicked. "Open fire. Hold them back. Protect the core." But the humans moved like shadows. Swift. Silent. Precise. Their EMP pulses shut down weapon systems. Their shock waves disabled guards instantly. Their tracking visors saw everything through the smoke. General Theros ran toward the main console, shouting, "Activate the destabilizer. Now, before they reach the core." But a human officer stepped in front of him. Calm, unhurried. "You will do no such thing." Theros tried to aim his pistol, but the human struck faster. The gun flew from his hand. Theros fell to the floor, breathless. The human commander walked past him and looked at the massive destabilizer humming with deadly power. "The Council ruled with fear," he said softly. "But this weapon ends today." He placed a small device onto the main control pillar. A soft click echoed. The destabilizer shut down. Completely. The energy drain vanished. The star stabilized. The danger disappeared. High Chancellor Maris received the message moments later. Your last weapon is gone. Your dominion is ending. Surrender or fall. She lowered her head. The council had run out of chances. The humans had taken everything from them. Fleets, pride, power, and now their final gamble. And the galaxy watched, breathless, knowing the end was coming. The battle over Varan Prime had ended hours ago, yet the sky still glowed with burning colors. Red from plasma storms, blue from teleport cracks, and gold from the last fading railgun fire. The people on the ground felt like the world itself was holding its breath. Even the wind was quiet, as if waiting for what would come next. But something darker was moving in the shadows of space. For days, the council had acted silent, weak, and defeated. Their fleets were broken. Their stations were gone. Their armies had vanished. The galaxy believed the council had finally fallen. Human commanders hoped this was true. Their soldiers hoped. Even civilians watching the sky hoped. But hope was too easy. And the council was never easy. High above the planets they once ruled, a massive triangular void drifted out of the darkness. No engines burned. No lights shined. It moved like a ghost, silent and cold. At first, people thought it was a broken station, floating without power. Then sensors woke. Then warnings screamed. Then the true shape revealed itself. It was not a ship. It was not a station. It was the Eclipse Core, the Council's last and most feared weapon. Old stories said the Eclipse Core was built before most species learned to travel space. It never moved except in moments of total desperation. If the core appeared, entire civilizations vanished. Now it was here, and it was waking up. Captain Mira Hale stood inside the command center of the human flagship Resolute. Her eyes locked on the dark shape on the screen. Every instinct inside her whispered the same thing. This is not a normal weapon. How long until it's fully active? She asked. 5 minutes, maybe less, her tech officer replied. His hands shook. Captain, if the legends are true, the core can wipe a system clean. Every city, every ship, every orbit. Mira kept her voice calm, but her chest tightened. No panic. Not yet. Scan everything. We need to know how it works. The scan loaded, slow, heavy, as if the device resisted being understood. Then the results arrived. And the room fell silent. There was no engine. No power cell. No reactor. The core was running on gravity itself. It pulled energy from stars, from planets, from everything around it. And it was hungry. Captain, the tech whispered, it is draining the orbit. Power levels in nearby satellites are dropping. Even our shields. I think it is eating the system. Mira stepped back from the screen. A superweapon that consumed the battlefield was something she had never imagined. Send a fleet warning, she ordered. Everyone prepare for emergency extraction. But extraction was no longer possible. The lights flickered. Gravity shifted. Every ship shook as if held by a giant hand. The Eclipse Core had begun its feeding. On the ground below, civilians saw the sky bend. Clouds twisted like they were being pulled into a whirlpool. Birds fell from the air. Buildings groaned, metal crying under unseen pressure. Parents grabbed their children. Soldiers steadied themselves. Leaders shouted orders no one could follow. One fact became clear in every mind. The Council had not come to win. It had come to destroy everything it could not control. Back in orbit, the Resolute creaked as the core dragged on its hull. Alarms flashed red across every screen. If nothing changed, the ship would tear apart. Mira clenched her jaw. We need fighters. Railguns. Anything we have left. Fire at will. The first volley launched. Railgun slugs cut through the black sky. Fast enough to tear through mountains. Fast enough to break warships in two. But as soon as the slugs neared the core, they stopped. Frozen. Suspended in the air like toys. Then the gravity field twisted and flung them harmlessly into space. It's playing with us, one officer said, voice hollow. Mira refused to break. Keep shooting. Keep resisting. We just have to. A new alarm screamed. The core had turned toward the surface. Toward Varon Prime. Toward millions of innocent lives. A low hum spread across the battlefield. The core was opening its main channel. A crack of pure black light widened along its center. Nothing escaped that light. Not heat, not sound, not even time. If the weapon fired, an entire continent would vanish. "We have one chance," Mira whispered. "Prepare the teleport system. We will use it for something the Council never expected." Her officers stared at her. They knew what she meant. They knew the risk. They knew the cost. But they nodded. If they failed, the galaxy would burn. If they succeeded, they might break the Council forever. The Eclipse Core powered its final shot. Gravity trembled. The stars flickered. The air itself screamed. And at the very last second, the Resolute jumped. Not away. Not to safety. But straight into the heart of the Eclipse Core. The Resolute did not jump with grace. It did not appear in silence. It ripped through reality. For one heartbeat, the human flagship existed in two places, outside the Eclipse Core and inside it. Metal shook. Air cracked. The entire ship groaned like it was being crushed by an invisible fist. Then, with a flash of white light, it fully materialized inside the Council's final weapon. No ship in history had ever teleported into a living superweapon. No commander had ever tried. But Captain Mira Hale had no other choice. If they failed, Varon Prime would die. If they succeeded, the Council's reign would end. Inside the Eclipse Core, the world looked wrong. There were no walls. There were no floors. Only floating platforms held in place by shifting gravity. Dark orbs pulsed in the distance, each one containing more energy than a star. Streams of silver light curved around the air like rivers flowing upward. It felt like standing inside of a dream. Or a nightmare. The Resolute hung suspended, trapped by gravity beams that held it like hooks. Panels cracked. Systems sparked. The ship was dying the moment it arrived. "Shields down," an officer shouted. "Hull temperature rising. This place is eating us alive." Mira gripped the railing, forcing herself to stay steady. "All teams, listen. We have entered the core. Our job is simple. Destroy whatever is powering this monster." Simple did not mean easy. She looked at the main screen, now filled with a huge sphere glowing a deep red. "That must be the heart," she whispered. "The heart of the Eclipse Core. The weapon that fed on stars. The weapon that could erase a world." And it was right there, waiting. The ship shook again as more gravity tendrils wrapped around it. "We cannot hold for long," the tech officer warned. 3 minutes at most." "Then we finish this in 2, Mira replied. Her voice was calm, steady, far steadier than she felt. She opened the comms to the entire ship. "This is Captain Hale. We stand inside the Council's last weapon. There is no retreat. There is no rescue. If we fail, our friends die. Our families die. Our world dies. So we will not fail. All weapons, target the heart." Across the ship, soldiers nodded. Engineers braced. Gunners aimed railguns with shaking hands. For the first time since the war began, humanity was not fighting for victory. They were fighting for survival. The railguns fired. Each slug ripped forward, cutting through the core's twisted space. The air around them boiled. The platforms shook. Energy spiraled like broken lightning. The slugs slammed into the glowing heart, and cracks spread like spiderwebs. A second volley fired. More cracks. A third. The heart flared bright, screaming with silent energy. And then it began to collapse. The core's gravity went wild, dragging everything inward. "Captain, the whole weapon is destabilizing," the officer yelled. "Good," Mira answered. "Prepare the teleport system. We are leaving." But the teleport system sparked and died. "System offline. Too much interference. We're trapped." A cold silence filled the room. The crew understood what it meant. They could destroy the core, but they could not escape it. Mira closed her eyes for half a second. Only half. Then she stood tall. "We do not run," she said. We finish what we started. The cracks in the heart spread wider, glowing brighter than a sun. The core trembled. The platforms fell apart. Gravity screamed like a storm of metal and fire. Outside, the Council's fleets watched in shock as their greatest weapon began shaking itself to pieces. Lights burst along its surface. Dark clouds of energy spiraled upward. In every corner of the galaxy, citizens looked to the sky, afraid to even breathe. And then, a final pulse of light exploded outward. A wave so bright it turned night into day. A shock so powerful it pushed ships away like leaves in a storm. And the Eclipse Core, the Council's last hope, shattered into dust. Nothing remained. Not the weapon, not its engines, not its power, and not the Resolute. For a long moment, space was silent. Then a message appeared across every human channel. Distorted, faint, almost broken. It was Myra's voice. We did it. The core is gone. The Council cannot rise again. Tell them humans stood their ground today. Static. Then silence. No one knew how her final message survived the blast. No one understood how it traveled through a broken teleport field. But everyone heard it. Across planets. Across stations. Across fleets. And the galaxy knew. The war was over. Humanity had done the impossible. Railguns had started the fight. Teleporters had ended it. And the Council's dominion had shattered forever.